Is just about 5:09, and yesterday we actually did have a tornado warning in part of our area up in Alameda County, just about to the river there. There was a storm that was rotating. There was a boundary and enough wind shear, enough spin in the atmosphere that did lead to the National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning. There are actually some reports of funnel clouds, and there was a video in Prairie du Chien just across the river of what looked like a possible tornado, or at least a really low funnel cloud that did occur there. But just one of a handful of tornado warnings that have been issued in the state so far this year. And in fact, that number is sitting at just 12. And I mean, the least, at least on record through June 30th that we can see. We don't have a ton of great records, but very unusual, as you can tell by the numbers. The one that was close was 2016. And in 2016, during June, we actually hadn't had a...
Welcome back. Just about 5:40. You know, we went through the stretch. It was so dry, and then we finally started seeing the rain.
Yes, we did. And some of us have made up some lost ground, of course, some more than we needed to, and some not enough. But this is just a look at the last 3 days around here. And yesterday, there was once again a flash flood warning that actually got posted in Alameda County. I mentioned, you know, if heavy rain happens to fall in those spots that had it over the weekend, there could be a problem. And unfortunately, it tracked right in the same spot. Marion did not get the heavy rain, so we didn't have issues there. But what I also wanted to point out here is over the last 3 days, while we've had rain in some spots, there's also been some holes that have been happening here, and it does include, unfortunately, one big area of Waterloo and a lot of our northwestern counties here that have been missing out on the rain. And I wanted to compare this to our drought monitor, which a new one comes out tomorrow, of course, and I do think there will certainly be some changes, but it's in these spots where we have the severe drought where, unfortunately, things have not been as bountiful as we would like in terms of rainfall. So hopefully we can see that change here soon, but we likely we'll still see that severe drought in some parts of our area as a result. Now, I mentioned time and time again that June is typically our wettest month of the year, averaging around 5.5 inches of rain. We still average around 4 inches. Of course, we've needed the rain, but unfortunately it did come with severe weather. And prior to June 20th, we had not seen much in the way of rainfall or severe weather, and we since then had seen around 100 warnings in the state of Iowa between severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, and we have picked up some rain too. But for some of us, we're still behind. We're sitting at less than an inch of rain for Waterloo for the entire month of June, which is typically our wettest month. That puts them behind by almost 5 inches, and it's the 5th driest June on record, period. In Dubuque, though, in contrast, around 4.5 inches of rain there, and they are just behind by around an inch, which you can kind of handle. But then you go up to Iowa City, to Cedar Rapids, where we've had 2.5 inches or so, still behind by 2.5 to 3 inches of rain. So we're still in need of it, but of course we can take a little break from it, take a breather, take a break from the severe weather, and we're going to get into just that as we head toward the next couple of days, the beginning of July here. So right now we do have some fog in overhead, some clouds passing through. Fog is the most dense around the Waterloo area, starting to kind of lighten up around Old Wine and Tama, and hopefully we'll start to see some improvement. By 9 a.m. most of it should be out of here. Temperatures are starting off in the 60s to around 70, where there is some fog and some more cloud cover right now. There may be a little bit of a lag in our temperatures, but we're already starting to see things warm up close to that 70-degree mark, and we'll head toward the 80s this afternoon. I don't know that it's going to be completely clouded over the entire day, but we kind of have a mix of sun and cloud situation for today, and we'll still, despite that, get into the low 80s and still have some mugginess around, and that's kind of remnants of the system that has been nearby this week, which will provide enough energy that perhaps a few spotty showers and storms get going in the southeastern part of the area, but should not amount to much, should be pretty brief too as it comes on through. And then as we head into Thursday, we're going to have some drier air in place with really little to nothing expected, some clouds that are going to pass on by, and that's because the moisture starts to leave us. We've been talking about this tropical air that's recently been in place, these high moisture levels, and some very heavy rain that's fallen, that's going to start to push down to the south, and we're going to get into some reprieve here with some drier air that comes in as we head toward Friday, Saturday, drops the humidity some too, but as we head through the first couple of days of July here, 4th of July especially, the moisture starts to come back. Doesn't mean rain chances go up necessarily, but does mean that the humidity comes back, which we can't really escape that in the summertime. So we are going to be in the 80s today, slim chance for a shower or storm, and then we'll keep with the 80s tomorrow. Still some mugginess around, but the humidity comes down for Friday and Saturday. And we do have some areas of fog out there this morning. We're going to still have a warm and muggy day today, although rain chances are starting to come down. So right now we have a system that's kind of starting to exit the area. So as a result, it'll take some of that moisture along with it, but it doesn't move out right away. So we still have some to kind of fend with here. And with that, there's been some fog in the area. Finally starting to see some improvement in terms of our visibility across the area, and it should really improve over the next hour and be completely out of here, that fog at least. Temperatures are starting off around 70 degrees, starting to warm up some as the sun starts to come up, poking through some of the clouds and the fog. And we'll basically have a mix of sun and clouds today. It could get clouded over at times. Temperatures still, though, climb up into the low 80s. Humidity still up there, and slim chance that we do see some showers and storms. Now, I do think predictors kind of overdoing this a little bit, but a couple of spotty showers and perhaps a thunderstorm cannot be ruled out today, mainly after 2 p.m., especially in the southeast, and that will not last too terribly long. The better moisture and energy is going to be located to our south, where the actual front is, the actual system, and we are just going to then have a mostly dry day otherwise, and that'll be the case as well on Thursday with a bit more sunshine. And that's as the system does pull away and take all that moisture along with it. We get some drier air that also starts to sneak in as we head into Friday and Saturday, and that will actually lower the humidity slightly and lead to a nicer feeling outside as we start the weekend. But we do start to see winds pick back up out of the south and moisture come back in. Doesn't mean rain chances immediately go up, but it does mean that we will start to feel it a little bit more, and I mean by the dew point and by the humidity. So today, still in that sticky range, still going to be noticeable as we head into Thursday, and even Friday and Saturday not going to be like completely comfortable, but it should feel a little bit nicer, just not as gross outside. And then by 4th of July there, well, the humidity does start to go back up, and it is summertime still. So as we head through July, still some typical weather for it, but we do start off here with just a slim chance for rain, and then the rest of your 7-day forecast, little to nothing expected in terms of precipitation. Temperatures to remain near and below is 508, and we did finally break a streak without seeing any rain. We had our last rainfall prior to yesterday on July 15th, and that was 20 straight days without any measurable precipitation. We then had about 0.3 of an inch fall yesterday in Cedar Rapids. It was the most since June 22nd, when we had around 1/2 inch of rain. So not a ton, and unfortunately not enough to really help out the situation here. And this is a drought monitor that was released yesterday in the morning, and unfortunately paints an ugly picture where we do have this extreme drought that's been introduced to 7% of the state, which includes parts of our area just near northwest of Waterloo into parts of Grundy Center, Parkersburg, Allison, and such, where it has just been very tough to get rain. And then we also have had some expansion of that dry, abnormally dry area, and we continue to have the moderate and severe drought. In terms of rainfall totals on the year, we added to these a little bit, but we're still sitting at the 11th dry, or the 4th dry, after having 20 days without any measurable rainfall. And the last time it did rain prior to yesterday was back on July 15th, and we picked up just a little bit then. We did get, though, yesterday 0.3 at the airport, and that was the most that we've seen since June 22nd, and it was when we had around 1/2 inch of rain. Now, getting this rain is good. It's not going to completely bust the drought situation that we have around here, and in Cedar Rapids we're more so in the abnormally dry region, but not too far away you get into this moderate and severe drought. And then in the northwestern part of our area, there is a zone now that is under extreme drought conditions, and this can start to cause some problems for farmers, and so definitely something that we're looking to at least solve sometime soon. But taking a look at the numbers, I mean, it's a lot of rain that is needed in those areas. So Waterloo is the closest nearby, where they now have around 11 inches of rain for the year, 5th driest to date for the year, but needs around 13 inches of rain. So a lot of those areas around Waterloo and to the northwest in that extreme drought likely needing around 13 to 14, 15 inches of rain. And even in Cedar Rapids, we do have have some changes coming as we head into the end of the week here, and it is going to bring in some serious fall chill. We have a cold front, a second front that's going to come through today and draw down some colder air. We get the winds today, the cold afternoon tomorrow, and then a frosty and freezing start on Saturday. As we head into next week, we do actually rebound back into the 70s above normal, and there are some signs of a little bit of an active pattern developing, which would be great. We do right now just have some clouds passing through in the north, and our cold front still located just to our north, and that is going to be bringing in the strong winds and the colder air. And ahead of it could be a couple of sprinkles, and you'll notice some clouds as well, and perhaps you've noticed the fog too. We do have the sun starting to come on up here, and you can just see this layer just kind of hanging out right above the treetop. So not necessarily affecting visibility too much down at the surface here in Cedar Rapids, but certainly has dropped a bit there, and there could be some other spots and some more wide open spaces where we do have some dense fog. So just give yourself some extra time this morning, as we've kind of seen it expand a little bit, and we have some lowered visibility in Tama, Benton, Lynn, into areas south of Highway 30, and then along Highway 20 in portions of Buchanan and Fayette and Clayton counties. There's been some fog out there this morning, and we've seen it around Dubuque along the river as well. So just slow it down if you do run into the fog. It's starting off a little chilly out there this morning with temperatures in the 40s. This is just the beginning though, because as we get into the afternoon and we get into the 60s, which is pretty seasonal, not too bad, we are going to be feeling the chill as the winds pick up. Temperatures drop this evening, and we'll then tumble down into the 30s by tomorrow morning. But it is this cold front that's going to come through that'll increase the winds, and we will have gusts up around 20 to maybe 30 miles per hour at times today, making those 60s feel even colder. So cold front comes through, maybe some sprinkles with it, going to have the clouds, winds pick up. That's because we have low pressure attached to the front, and then high pressure starting to move in, a pretty strong high pressure system from Canada once again, and that's going to lead to the breezy conditions today. High pressure then settles in, leads to a cold afternoon tomorrow, and then with clear skies, light winds, some of this moisture in place from the recent little bit of rain we got, and those cold temperatures going to lead to frost forming by Saturday morning. Temperatures are going to be dropping down into the upper 20s to low 30s, leading to widespread freezing temperatures as well as widespread frosty conditions. Temperatures do go down for tomorrow and Saturday below normal in the 50s to around 60 degrees. We do take it back up as we head into next week, into the 60s and 70s, and we do also have a sign of a bit more of an active pattern during that stretch as well next week, where we could have some chances for rain, which would be beneficial and hopefully proves a little bit more fruitful than what we got yesterday. But we do have the 60s on the board for today and windy conditions. Tomorrow, high temperatures in the 50s, lows drop down below freezing, frost Saturday morning. We're around 60 for Saturday, and then on Sunday we'll be closer to 70. We warm up as we head into next week with some chances for rain on Tuesday and Wednesday. And right now we are continuing to watch this storm draw closer to the state of Iowa, and there are winter storm warnings that extend across a majority of the state and are also going to be in effect for quite a long time, just telling of this long duration event with high impacts. And we do have winter storm warnings at the moment. They go into effect this evening. As the snow moves in, we could potentially see some upgrades to blizzard warnings, as we are going to have the potential for blizzard conditions and very difficult to at times impossible travel because of these conditions that are going to be coming into place here. So tonight, snow begins to move in. We'll have those snow-covered roads that starts to get slick. We will have snow persisting into Thursday morning. So during the commute tomorrow, if you are still having to head out to work, which we understand, then you're going to be met with snow still falling and still some snowy and slick roads. Thankfully, we are not having the combination of the winds increasing as the snow is falling. However, it still is going to lead to the same impacts after the snow has stopped. As the winds increase Thursday afternoon, we are looking at blowing, drifting, low visibility, and on top of that, temperatures dropping like a rock. And then into Friday, the potential for blizzard conditions with whiteout conditions, especially in those rural open areas and on stretches of highway. And we're going to see impacts too, even in the cities. And you get stuck, we're talking about wind chills down 30 to 40 below zero. So if you do not have to go anywhere, it's just going to be best to not. And we do have the beginnings of the system starting to approach here. We have the clouds building in and snow that's still off to our west. we'll start to see that snow move in this evening. We have cold air that's in place, and we're sitting on kind of either side of 0 at the moment, but this is just a little taste of just how cold it's going to be getting as the storm comes through. We have wind chills that are down around 10-15 degrees below 0, but we're going to see triple, quadruple those numbers as we head into tomorrow evening. We will have temperatures rising today, actually getting into the teens and 20s. We'll peak overnight. Before then this cold air moves in. By noon Thursday, we start to see these big impacts take shape with the winds picking up. Temperatures go to around 0 and continue to fall below 0 as we have the winds increasing. That's what's leading to that dangerously cold combination of those low wind chills. So as we head through the day today, if you have things to do, I'd suggest prior to 5 p.m., take care of going to the grocery store, getting gas for the snowblower, whatever it may be, making sure you have everything you need at home. Snow comes in, and we'll have moderate to heavy snowfall tonight into tomorrow morning. Snow will continue to fall tomorrow, and then as it stops, those winds start to pick up, the temperatures drop, and the impacts actually heighten after the snow is done as those winds increase and lead to those potential blizzard conditions. We're talking about 35 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts through the day Friday into early Saturday, and then we have this. The wind chills, not a big factor during the day today, but then tomorrow we are talking 30 to 40 below wind chills leading to frostbite setting in within just a couple of minutes and difficult travel through the day Thursday into Friday.